session, and what a special 3-day event this is turning out to be. I have met so many lovely people here, and I'm very, very honored to have met most of you in this room. I hope we can continue our relationships on social media and get linked in and all that kind of good stuff. If you are posting on social media, please remember to use the hashtag health2conf, as in health, the number 2 and CONF, because at the end of it, we're going to be taking all of the photos, we're going to put them all together, and there's going to be a lovely video presentation from the Conference 2.0 homepage. So, I would love to start our afternoon session now that our bellies are full and we have refueled. I'd love to start. I'm very excited for this panel discussion. It is going to be the topic of AI, artificial intelligence, and how it is going to help you age smarter with biomarkers and mobility health. So, I would love to introduce our moderator for this session, Amar Patel, alongside with panelists Ash Roy, Dr. Anita Stalin, as well as Professor Roland France. A round of applause as they make their way up to the stage. Yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amar Patel. I am a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. For folks who don't know, it's a professional services company. I've spent the entirety of my career in the healthcare sector. Started as a technologist, as an advisor, and an investor. It's an honor to be moderating this panel today. Before we get into the panel discussion, perhaps I'll invite the panel speakers to say a little bit about themselves, starting with Dr. Anita.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anita Stalin, and I'm a Master Black Belt in Lean Six Sigma, and my expertise in process engineering and cost reduction and simplifying the processes for people, not only for the employees, but also for customers. And I'm the CEO of the LSS Certification Academy and one of the directors with the International Lean Six Sigma Institute in Cambridge, England. And I'm also a Chief Transformation Officer with a healthcare industry in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Roland?
You insist? Okay. I'm Ash Roy. Let's see. We have a booth here. It's a seniorlife.ai. We'll talk about it a little bit more later. My personal background, I spent most of my adult life in New York and Tokyo. I live in Seattle. I built 3 companies in the process. First one was a NASDAQ-based company. We sold it, and then I was in private equity for a while. The second company we built, I'm still the founder and chairman. That is now the number 2 smart home company in Japan. And this is the third company we're building, seniorlife.ai, with my co-founder who is sitting in the audience, Kaz Ogawa. It's a US and Japan-based company. We'll talk about it later. That's about it. Yep.
Hello everyone, I'm Roland France. My introduction was very well made, and I'm sure you heard about me before. So basically I have my own firm, the Fitco.in, where our motto being is making a difference, to make a difference in people's lives. So through healthcare, fitness, wellness, we try to cover up every aspect related to physical or mental. I myself am a coach, counselor, manager. I like to think of myself as a fitness, wellness concierge, that way.
You can sit there.
And I'm also a part investor, and company where we manufacture healthy desserts. People who have a sweet tooth like me. So we manufacture ice creams, chocolates, cookies, but all organic on the healthy side, so that people like me who are into fitness but also have their sweet cravings can indulge a bit guilt-free. So that's just a bit of what I do. I had a master's in geoinformatics. I kind of did like my PhD halfway through, and yeah, I got into this field because this field actually changed my life. Once upon a time, I myself was going through a lot of physical and mental distress. So getting into health, fitness, wellness, using science and a holistic approach did help me control my problems, my issues, get over it, change my personality, and that is what I want to share with everyone. Hence, I do what I do. Thank you.
Thank you all. So it's an exciting topic. How can we age smarter? And how is AI, biomarkers, mobility health playing a crucial role? Let's start with maybe Ash. And Ash, can you tell us about what is smart aging and what is the role of mobility health and biomarkers?
Okay, I will attempt to. In our industry, everything is getting upended by AI. So first of all, let me tell you my perspective of what it is not, what smart aging is not. It is not living, staying younger forever, staying young forever. It's definitely not that. It is also not living long. What it is, in our definition, is extending the quality of life. So for example, I was just talking to him, I row on the ocean. And if I want to keep rowing on the ocean when I'm 60, 20 years later, and if somebody had told me that there's some problem I'm developing on my left shoulder, there's no stiff shoulder or anything. It's just something I'm developing. Somehow AI would tell me that. I can fix it. I can row probably better when I'm 60. I would be super happy about it. So extending quality of life is, I think, is a definition of smart aging. Second question is about a biomarker. So think about biomarker and mobility health is kind of like physics versus chemistry of your body, right? So mobility is physics and chemistry is biomarkers. FDA in the US kind of has this chart that defines 7 different types of biomarkers. But essentially 3 things. One is about the drugs, right? So how will you respond to this drug? What can the side effect be, right, before you take it? So the drug makers pharmaceutical companies are very involved in that. The second type of biomarker is identifying disease, basically diagnosis, right? So cancer, pre-diabetes, and so on. The third one, which is most interesting, is where we focus on, not as a business, but I personally am very interested in, is can I identify early on through genetic testing or blood markers that I'm likely to develop something 20 years later. So that is a very interesting area in the biomarker space. And the last one is mobility health, which is the physics part of it. And that's what we focus our business on, but I'm not going to talk about the business part. Essentially, think about mobility as 3 parts. The first is obvious, which is your gait and balance, you're walking, right? Somebody's watching how you're moving and so on. There are 2 others. The second one is how your facial muscles moving, right? It's called balance and arousal. By looking at your facial movements, the eye is able to detect many more things right now. The third one is your eye movement, which is basically the 3 parts: blinking, your gaze, what you're focused on, and how fast it is moving. So those are really early predictors of behavioral issues to dementia and maybe more things. So I can go on and on, but I should stop.
Thank you for that, Ash, and with at least forming a foundational understanding of the definitions. I think that's important because these are new words, these are very dynamic concepts, they keep on evolving on a daily basis. But maybe I can could go to next and ask you a question on with these biomarkers and mobility health and AI, how do you actually conduct assessments and how does it help you predict or diagnose some of these things?
Okay, firstly, let me just clarify. I am not what do you call it, degree in medical profession. But yes, I do use biomarkers and mobility assessment so as to program specific plans so as to improve the health and fitness of a person. So I think maybe 10 years down the line, coaches, trainers, and many other professionals in the field, wellness professionals in the field, didn't really care much about these things. But today I feel it is very important. Say, like for example, we take metabolic biomarker. Okay, let's say for example, HbA1c. Okay, diabetes. Today, diabetes, as you know, is I think at the rise. Okay, everywhere in India, yes. US, I'm sure it is. And I'm sorry, I don't know much of the rest of the world. But let's take diabetes as an example. Now, once I have that, because I have an understanding of biomarkers, I did study it, I did a course on it. So, knowing that, I know how or what to give a person. What kind of exercises, what kind of nutrition plan, because there are again do's and don'ts when it comes to eating, and also if someone is a diabetic, that way. So as it goes with exercises. Similarly, mobility assessment. I will assess that person's functionality physically. Okay, for that we have certain basic tests because a diabetic may not be that functionally what may not be able to move or perform that functionally as compared to a healthy person. So over there also, yes, after we assess the mobility of that person who has this condition or a disease, whatever you want to call it. So that's how then in our field, in our wellness and fitness industry, what happens is we use these biomarkers, the measurements measured through maybe a urine sample or a blood test, whatever it may be, for XYZ diseases. And also, yes, we do mobility assessments, facial and what was the next? Eyes, being one of it. Yes, eyes, skin, also they do give out symptoms, and also like the person's way of walking. A disease does affect the core muscles in various ways. As you may be knowing, your muscles have their own way of working. They have their own memory. Okay, they are also connected to emotions and also to whatever is going on with it. Like if there is an issue, if there is a disease, whether it be a viral or a bacterial, yes, your muscles do tend to fight or flight. What is it? Give that fight or flight response. I'm sorry. Yes. So yes, even a disease does affect the musculoskeletal system in certain way, and that does affect a person's functioning. Let it be from posture to walking to sitting to sleeping, etc. So we do use these tests to correct the person. I may not be able to just take away the disease conducted for maybe sports professionals, not that much to the layman. Times have changed, yes, and yes, as I said, these things are going to help us not only to identify, not only to diagnose or prognose, but also it will help us to create a plan, to create a program, okay, that will help, what we say, that will help us move forward. Okay, like age smarter, you can say, it may help in longevity. Today science has, like, I think, yeah, today science and technology are at that point and they're still going forward. As just companies will say research and to integrate is, what do we say, AI software?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not a bit into my next venture. So yeah, so we are limited. Coaches like me, people who are in my industry, we play with a set of biomarkers that we metabolic or hormonal. As said, there are 7 types, 7 categories.
Correct. That's how the
Yeah,
FDA describes it.
correct. Yes. So for us, only 3 or 4 to actually matter that way. So yeah, I can maybe just say that much about biomarkers and mobility assessment. It is an integral part today. Let it even if let's take a let's take like a common disease like diabetes, or it can also be maybe an injury. Injuries can also lead to infections that we may not know about. And if you are, I don't know how many of you all have met people like lately I've been meeting people where these diseases like cancer and all they're hiding. People don't seem to get their symptoms or know about it in the last minute. At least a couple of years back, you could see something is happening. Yes, this is there, that is there. You could see the symptoms. But today, I see many diseases where they are just like, I don't know, maybe they've evolved, they are eating. Like as we are evolving, I'm sure viruses and bacteria and diseases are also evolving. Lately, as I said, many cases are coming. So yes, these biomarkers, these blood tests, these urine tests, these hormonal tests that we do, okay, they do help us identify these things. And yes, we can use AI to compile, what do you call it, to compile the data, study the data, and then maybe come up with a appropriate plan of action. I'm sure that's in the works. Yeah. So
That's excellent, and with that background on biomarkers, mobility health, let's shift gears. Let's put in that layer of AI on top. If I go back a decade, everyone's talking about data. Then came analytics. Then came machine learning. Then came AI. And now it's Gen AI. And now I'm hearing things like large language models. It's really complicated, all of these things. Maybe I'll invite Dr. Anita to speak about how is AI, from a simplistic standpoint, helping us with our health, with aging.
Yeah, thank you. And I totally agree with what Ash and Roland have spoken about. I'm not technologically, I don't have the expertise like that, but I can talk about, human beings go through these problems where artificial intelligence can make our quality of life better. Now, of course, and the disclaimer is I'm not a medical expert. I don't have a medical degree, but I have a PhD in lean and making the processes leaner and penetrating to identify the problems in healthcare and in different industries. Okay, so building on to what Roland and Ash said, we are all, running in that rat race. Not all, but maybe almost everybody, and we want to improve the standard of life. But like Ash said, we also want to be responsible to see to it that we don't compromise on the quality of life. So artificial intelligence is here not to replace human beings like doctors and nurses and the assistants, but it will only enhance them to do their job better. So let me talk about what I went through. Everybody knows about the pandemic, and I was also a victim. For about 35 days, I was under ventilation, and that was really a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt perspective. So what happened is obviously the detection was later, and then they directly took me to ICU because I was not able to breathe. And I had laparoscopy done. I had a surgery just like 2 days ago. The nurses were looking at it. They didn't even ask me what, and I couldn't say. I wanted to tell them, hey, you know, the stitches are not even removed. Can you see the band-aid? That's my laparoscopy done. You know, just be careful about it. But they were more concerned about letting me breathe, making me breathe. So they were doing their job correctly. I wanted to tell them, but I couldn't because of the ventilation, and I knew that if I remove it, the oxygen supply is going to stop. So if I had any artificial intelligence that was connected to my brain, and if the nurses and the doctors were looking at it, then they would have identified, hey, I think the patient wants to say something. I think there is something, some concern, you know, so maybe something that's going on in my mind could have been read by the doctors and the surgeons and the nurses, but that didn't happen. So what they did is they asked me to sleep on my stomach. They were just like pressing and pressing so that I could breathe. So they were trying to help me. So artificial intelligence is only going to enhance, do their job better, right? So that's one thing. So we need your products a lot, isn't it? So like, yeah, of course my husband and son were also about to accompany, but he was going through some, again, health issues. We tried to detect, he's a diabetic. Again, if we had the wearables, we would have known whether his diabetes was too high or too low, but then we did not use it. But now I know it's so useful. So we took him to the diabetologist, and he said, okay, your diabetes is definitely like a 200 to 300. We have to kind of curb it, and we give you medicine. And then all of a sudden, his head started hurting, and his eyes started hurting. He went to an eye specialist. The doctor said, go to an eye specialist, and we did all the tests and stuff. It took like 3 days for them to identify and tell us, hey, nothing is wrong with your eyes. We were happy about it, but not really happy, because we didn't know why was his eye hurting and his head. And then after a week, we identified he was getting some blisters on his head and forehead, and they then identified it was herpes zoster. Oh my God, we just spent like a week, and he was having medicines for his diabetes, for his ailments in eyes, for his headache, and he was also due for his CT scan because his head was hurting. So artificial intelligence would have supported the doctors to identify immediately and treat him, so he would have been one of you here, and I would have been so proud. So definitely.
For sure. I mean, if I have a chance, I'll explain how it works, but go ahead.
Fantastic. Right, so then what happened is, like I was talking about while I was, getting treated, we had like wires which was monitoring everything, my pulse and heartbeat and everything. And in the night, obviously the nurses had to go home. There was only one nurse who was looking after everything. And then I just happened to turn. What happened is the monitor which was placed that fell on my face. And that happened at approximately 1 p.m. Until 8 a.m. when the other nurse came in, I was just sleeping, lying like that without pain, thinking that at least I'm breathing. I want to be alive till the nurse arrives in the morning, right? But if there was some kind of connection like this, where with artificial intelligence or app, or even camera for that matter, the doctors and the surgeons would have seen, I think I would have escaped from that pain, right? And then I was definitely thinking about surviving and living, but I was also concerned about my facial muscles. Like Ash said, we want to age smarter, right? If I'm alive, I don't want like a deformed face, isn't it? So I was concerned, what if, when I'm alive, will I be able to carry my face and stuff like that? So not only women, but also men are so concerned about the way you look, because it gives you that confidence. So my therapist helped me with facial yoga therapy and all of that. Okay, so let's all of us do that. For example, if you have a double chin, you're supposed to just look up and kiss 10 times. Let's all do that, okay? Come on, let's do that. Everybody. Yes. And let's hear some kissing sound here. Come on. Awesome. All right, that's great. Now the other one is for our eyes. So what we'll do is, like, let's say that this is your face, and you are supposed to tense the muscles Wait for like 5 seconds and then release, okay? And then release. Come on, let's do that. Everybody's looking funny, that's all right. Okay. Let's have Roland, Ash, and Amber also do that. Come on, let's do that. Okay, and then let's say we want like full volume on our cheek. So what we would do is we will fill some air here and then pass it on to your left and right. All right, let's do that.
That was easy.
Okay, awesome. So I think this is something very common and everybody knows that. But why am I talking about this? Because there are so many exercises and I need to know what does my face need. So in case if I have their product, I would, just take a selfie and it would tell me, hey, Anita, I think that your cheeks are okay, but you're getting your dark circles. So just have facial yoga for just eyes and not for cheeks, because nobody has the time to do that, isn't it? And I want to age smarter. I'm a mother, very soon I'll be a grandma, isn't it? Yeah, so that is something we can use our product, not only healthcare, but also consumers can use it. Now, like I said, I'm a mother. We have so many of you must be parents, or you would have nibblings and siblings that you look after. And you know that you want to know what your kids are doing, not because you want to be too finicky, but you want them to be safe and you want them to only consume the data that's good for them, for their knowledge and growth, isn't it? But I'm just thinking, what would happen when I become a grandma? In that case, I'm going to be older, physically, mentally, and technology is going to reach like, it's going to hit the roof and I'm not going to understand anything. But if we have products like, which would tell me, okay, what is my grandchild thinking? What is he doing? Is he with friends who's having drugs, or has he tasted it? For example, I can just sit at home and I can see it and then I can tackle. So this is how it can help us age smarter. Also, one more thing is, one of my friends' mom is unwell, and it was the last stage of a blood cancer. And little did she know that if we have smart gadgets, now dermatologists say that you have a gadget with an app which can just kind of, you just have to show it to the surface of your skin and it will let you know that you have blood cancer, isn't it? But we want more of that so that we age smarter. We don't want the longevity, yes we do, but definitely the quality of life should be good.
We want the quality
Right.
of life. Thanks for sharing that example, Dr. Rita. In that example, there was science, wellness, wearables, tech. It had it all.
And process.
What I got out of that, what you spoke about is AI and tech is not here to replace, but it's here to complement traditional medicine, traditional science. And I think we can just get better by embedding technology into the process. Maybe we'll shift gears a little bit. Globally, if you look at, I live here in Dubai, and I know for sure, when I look at the GCC countries, one statistic that stands out is the aging population, the 65 years and above. That's sort of the fastest growing segment here in the region, and I'm pretty sure in many parts of the world. Maybe I'll bring Ash on this topic, because this is a product that matters, for that segment of the population. How is AI and the other concepts that we've spoken about are playing a role in what I call geriatric care, or care for the elderly?
So let me take the first question, AI, which can be bad or good, depends on which movie you have watched, right? So I think a lot of people have seen generative AI, right? Starting with OpenAI, and it just introduced Sora, which means sky in Japanese, which basically you give it a prompt and some sort of text, or it could be an image, and then there's a response, and the response is generated based on a lot of learning. As Amar was talking about, it could be a large language model, it could be video models, and so on. We are not talking about that in healthcare. Okay, healthcare is not generating, text images or generating images from text and videos and so on. But it has dramatically changed how healthcare is working. Not generative AI models, but the fundamental of how AI models work. So there's 5 years ago, almost every AI engineer, every AI company, we're using something called CNN, not your cable news network. It's convolutional neural network, okay? Which basically means you go to you build a model, and you say, you introduce some biases, okay? You introduce some biases, and the model kind of works through it and gives you the result, right? So you don't need that much data to train it. Everybody threw it out 2 years ago. They went into something called transformer model. And what does transformer model does? It doesn't want to learn anything. Don't tell me anything. Let me observe. That means I'm observing a lot of data. So, first is a model, transformer. Second, I need to process. It's just process hungry. So that means you need to have graphics processing unit or GPUs available. And the company that makes GPU, NVIDIA, has a bigger market cap than Google now. It's just an unknown chip company that is $2 trillion market cap now. So two things happen, which is the new models that are not biased, transformer models, and also GPU. Because of these two, the AI models are working so fast and discovering things that is a pending clinical diagnosis. So what your doctor thought about, what the clinical community thought about, some of these things are coming out to be incorrect or partially incorrect. It's like Einstein theories is getting, right? The quantum mechanics, right? So that is the new AI, that's happening. And I think somebody was asking me about, I'm just digressing a little bit here. So there's a lot of people who are focused on something called edge computing, meaning you have a device, you have a little AI or a dedicated thing in there. All those things are going to be old really fast because the upgrade is happening so fast, but it's very process hungry, GPU hungry. So first point is AI is creating so many things. Sometimes we don't know our assumptions are going to be correct or not. Now let's talk about GCC, right? I think if I'm correct, and obviously you know this way better than I do, I think about 5% of the people here are in around 65 category, some number like that. It's probably going to triple in 2-3 years because the birth rate is declining really fast. If it triples, the healthcare cost is probably going to quintuple, right? Because that's where most of the cost is. Three big areas where the cost of healthcare can be avoided and quality of life can be extended. Three big areas. One is, when you get older, your mobility changes, so you're likely to fall, okay? Especially if you're old. Second is, a lot of people have onset of dementia. There's something called MCI, which is mild cognitive impairment. So if you can delay the dementia, any Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, take it, whatever. So first, I'm going to keep you safe so that you're not falling down if you're getting really old. Second, extend your onset if you're at risk of dementia, because if you have a risk, it's probably going to happen somewhere. The third one is I want to make sure if you have a surgery, right, or you do some sort of event that happened, right, and you came back from the hospital, if you're recovering, that is one of the biggest costs in the US called hospital readmission. Because you don't take care of it, you had a knee surgery, you're not measuring how your knee is recovering or not, the doctor is not measuring, and you eventually go back. That's a massive cost. So those three are the big ones that AI, especially what we do, mobility health, can observe. Can measure the risks before it happens, or after an event happens, it can actually provide evidence-based outcome to prevent it, right? And I think you will see the adoption very, very fast in the GCC, especially in some of the more advanced countries, right?
That's really helpful. I'm actually going to have a follow-on question on that one because it's related. We keep on hearing these terms, chronological age, biological age, especially when I go for my annual health checkups. the doctor would tell me your heart is at a certain biological age, but your lungs are at another biological age. Can you tell us a little bit about what this means, Ash? Because as you grow older, this becomes even more important.
Yeah, this is a hotly debated topic. I'll tell you what my opinion is. Okay. So chronological age is basically you start at 0 and you grow, right? It's time. As you get older, if you're born 45 years ago, you're 45-year-old chronological age. Your biological age can be 35 or it could be 55, right? And it depends on many factors, of course. What you put in your body, do you exercise, what kind of environment you live in, right? Not just the physical environment, stress, everything else, right? Many things, right? And but of all of you, and sometimes you are prone to certain things. If you had known about it earlier, you could have taken care of it. That's where we focus on, because we can't focus on stress and all that stuff. Right? Hard to pinpoint, right? So if your chronological age, your goal is this: you want to start out. Your neurons max out at about mid-30s, some late 20s, mid-30s. After that, trust me, you're going down, right? Brain-wise, neurons. But hopefully, you're able to. So you're starting out biological age probably at 0. That's in mid-30s. Hopefully, by the time you go to mid-60s, so chronologically you've advanced 30 years. Hopefully, you've advanced only 15 years. That's kind of the goal. Your heart, your lungs, and everything else, it all depends on many things. Why it can be biological age could be lower or higher. It depends on many things. But the ideal goal is we think 15 years.
And I'm assuming some of the technologies that we're talking about, AI, biomarkers, mobility health, they all play a role
Hugely.
in kind of giving you that accurate picture of your biological age.
Yes, so in fact, in Japan, and thanks to my partner, so some of our mobility tests, right, mobility health check, we call it, are being part of the annual checkup. So it's a regular checkup process. If you identify you're in the yellow zone, right, take care of it now, so that if you're in the red zone, it's too late. So if you're in the yellow zone, take care of it, so that you can stay healthy and healthy. Yeah, they are. And what has AI brought today is the vision-based AI. Vision-based AI is amazing now, especially after these transformer models and the GPUs. Many of you may or may not know the cars that you drive today have LiDARs, right? Tesla threw away all the LiDARs. There's no LiDAR in Tesla. It's only vision, it's only camera. It's only the front camera and the back camera. Because the amount of quality of information that comes in through a camera is 100x or 1000x better than what comes through LiDAR. It's really fast.
Which is laser, LiDAR is laser.
Yeah, which is, and it's substantially faster, right? Faster and better. So vision-based AI, the way it is progressing, can provide information in a really short time. I'm talking about seconds. So we developed a product that I can't talk about the name yet. So this is the second largest airbag maker in the world. Okay. So they came to us to build a product which is going to be rolled out next year. If you fall down, just like a car accident, once you have an accident, it's too late, right? So that's why they have the airbags, because you have an accident, it protects you. But we can now detect a pre-fall indicator within 100 milliseconds. And another 100 milliseconds, something goes to somewhere and something inflates. So within 300 milliseconds, something inflates. So before you fall down, the airbag is actually inflated, or some wearable thing is inflated. I can't go into detail. But that's how technology is improving, and it's going to make a huge impact. We hope.
Awesome, thank you. Well, this topic is pretty exciting. I mean, we can go on and on and on. That timer is blinking red in front of us, but I want to leave some time for the audience to ask questions. I mean, we have 3 individuals who are highly knowledgeable about this topic, so anyone in the audience has any questions, please feel free to ask right now.
Can you please explain to Ayush, so how AI could impact on this telemedicine or teleconsultation, and what will be your sponsor or what will be your support towards medicine? Can you please explain in detail for us how images could be viewed through AI can predict the impressions?
You're talking about telehealth, right? It's already impacting big ways. I'll give you two examples, right? And I'm not even talking about a doctor able to remotely see the scans, right? The results, right? Let's say you had a knee injury, right? Today, what's happening in the US is, so you come to my clinic, I look at you, and I say, you can go home, but can you do this test on your own? Like check your knee reflection. And it's not just an angle, it's how if it's shaking or not. You can do it at your home. And that means it's cheaper, your out-of-pocket cost is less, and I can get the result, evidence-based results. The AI just picks it up, and it says, yeah, it's improving or it's getting worse. And then I'm not even doing anything, I'm getting the results, and I'm like, if it's getting better, great, but if it's getting worse, I take immediate intervention. So that's one area that's where AI is doing a lot of things. Not helping a lot. The other one is vision-based. This is a little controversial. I'm having a conversation with you, and let's assume you have a behavioral issue, right? Mental health is called behavioral issues in the US, right? So for whatever reason, trauma, stress, this, that. So when I'm watching you, I'm an expert, but the AI, it's basically imagine like a Zoom almost, right? AI is picking up many things about your facial contour movements, eye movements, and so on. And it's telling me she has improved or not improving, or she's stable, or I get a lot of results, not just relying on my own expertise, because I may not be that expert, right? He may be the expert. But the machine is telling me, meaning the AI is going to tell us is improving with evidence, because it's been trained to watch. So those vision-based AI is like making a huge impact there. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you. Any other questions?
It's a very problem.
Take somebody's mic, maybe that's easier.
Tall people problems.
I just have two questions to your talk, basically. Firstly, you're talking about recognizing for health issues from facial recognition. What we call AI today is pretty much a regression model, right? And regression models are as good as the data. I wonder how good is the data today, because we keep on evolving. There are challenges at the DNA level where we don't know diseases. We have hunches because that's again based on data, and there are medications that don't respond to typical medication. Will it be useful in that respect? And secondly, what is your view on nootropics to actually? Yeah, can you hear? I was able to hear myself. So, what's your view on nootropics? Because nootropics is another trend which is up and coming for reverse aging or age better. So these are the two questions. Is it clear? Or were you able to hear?
What was the first topic? What was the first question?
Because when you talk about diseases recognition or predicting disease from facial muscle or facial looks, there are so many other parts in that. Because all the AI models are based on regression. It's basically a regression model, right? AI is nothing new. It's from the 70s and 80s regression model, which just got much better computational power today. given the historical data, we still don't account for such challenges which patients are changing on a DNA level and the mitochondria is changing. Mitochondria impact on the muscle changes your facial looks as well, which is not a prediction of a disease, but rather a pure muscular issue. How do you account for that in your regression models or AI, as you want to call it?
Should I answer that?
Yes, please. Yeah, please.
First of all, so thank you for pointing it out that it is essentially regression. That was the old models. So what it is for people who are not that familiar with how AI works, it's essentially statistics, right? It was. So I told you, I gave you so many statistics about so many people. So when I show you a blind sample, because you've learned so much, you're able to tell me, yeah, this is the way it's going to work. That was the previous way AI worked. Now what it's doing, it is figuring out new relationships that the previous models couldn't do. So that has changed the game quite a bit, right? So that's one. Second, the thing that we don't have, we have one of the largest video data, and that's only 20,000 of older people. The data that you're talking about has mostly been point data. The blood pressure of Amar Patel 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, 10 days ago. That's not as helpful as Amar's 20-second video of Amar's face, or even 20-second video of Amar's walking 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 10 days ago. That information is just rich if I had that information. So we're like collecting a lot of data. A lot of things are not done yet. It's going to progress as we'll find out. We'll definitely make mistakes for sure. I don't know if I answered your question or not. We're not done yet. Probably never be done.
That's probably her indicating you guys are done, but yes, one more question.
I think get it to the mic.
Tech.
So, I think interesting topic. Obviously, what's happening is on one side, we know, I'm coming first of all from a pharma organization standpoint. From pharma
Sir, can you hold the mic a little closer?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So from a pharma organization standpoint, one of the things we are trying to do is to reduce the overall cycle for introduction of a new molecular entity. And there we are using vision technology, and obviously overlaid with AI and closed generative models to see the pattern change at the cellular level for impact of a molecule that gets tested. That's what we're trying to do. There was an interesting conversation this morning which spoke about telehealth, and it spoke about maybe the I would say more compliance, non-compliance with respect to monitoring a patient remotely or understanding a patient's real health remotely. Somewhere it's a question of how we need to adopt this technology, and how do we need to therefore maybe what we call institutionalize and make it stable. Now, the reason I can bring it is because on one side you can trust introduction of a new molecular entity by vision imaging at a cellular level and its impact. On the other side, you have clinically graded devices like, for example, a blood pressure monitor, an eye stats from Abbott, and a few other things that are there that can do tracking, like, for example, your pulse. Because I think a pulse states a lot about your actual health, which a doctor has to feel now, but can also be done remotely. So is there no way that we can bridge this gap of trying to use existing technologies in conjunction with video analysis to make the telehealth more pervasive? Because I think if that happens, to a large extent, a lot of issues that we're facing in terms of doctor burnout or physician burnout, 70 cases a day to be seen, cognitive errors being introduced because of that, because you're kind of seeing the same type of patient, you say this person is also diabetic, let him come and go, and we do wrong errors. So somewhere what I heard in the morning was saying that follow-up consultation should be done. But since we have such a good technology with, say, for example, wearables, tactile sense, and so on and so forth, why can't we do a combination of that and vision and see if we can make telehealth more effective, therefore reducing the last mile gap and make it more affordable? So that was a point of view, and if you have any thoughts on that?
I can answer that from US perspective. Yep. I can only talk about the US. So before COVID, so there are two things that are very big in the US now. One is called RPM, Remote Patient Monitoring. The second one is called RTM, Remote Therapeutic Monitoring. RPM was introduced, in the US it's all cost driven. It's one of the most expensive healthcare systems. The healthcare system is completely, I don't want to go in there, but technology-wise, it's a lot of stuff is happening there. So what happened, pre-COVID, there were 800,000 people who were on RPM. So RPM, typical RPM would be you're diabetic, or you're at home, or you're just recovering something from some surgery. It's measuring data and sending it to your electronic medical records, and doctor can see it. Sometimes it's auto analysis, and so automatically the program is telling you if it's good or bad. During COVID, because you couldn't actually go to the clinic, it went from 800,000 to 59 million people on RPM now. Massive success, right? So it is happening in the US. It's completely, in the US, every single primary care is telehealth. There is you don't go and see a primary care anymore. Just telehealth. Sometimes it's video, or sometimes it's you just pass the information and you get prescription and so on. RTM, which was introduced, or remote therapeutic monitoring, which was introduced last year, that focuses in three areas. It focuses on physiotherapy, right? Which is where we're very big. It also focuses on COPD, like your pulmonary diseases, like respiratory diseases, right? And the third one, it focuses on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, meaning you can actually provide the service without meeting the person. So yes, it is expanding rapidly. There are two challenges I see. One is an institutional challenge, which is from the doctor's perspective, because the doctors make more money if you come to the clinic. So there's an adoption issue. The second issue is if you're dealing with, it's called patient adherence. Once they come home, they just don't do it, right? They forgot about it, right? So how do you make sure, how do you enforce that? But it's happening because there's no choice. At least in the US, it's very, very expensive. The healthcare costs are expensive, and I think it's going to start happening in Japan too. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You answered it from a perspective that yes, it is happening, but institutionalization or scalability of something of that nature. Because what we are talking about is, when you say talk about US, we're talking about say 400 million people. But when you talk about the world, it is 8.2 billion people, right? And what we have to kind of look at is technologies have become now so affordable, and maybe with some kind of definitive fillip from a combination of maybe the 5 ecosystem pillars of healthcare. Don't you think there is a potential for us to maybe push it to a larger adoption?
It may be ideal. What you're looking for is ideal, but as you know, my friend, everything is driven by money. So somebody who's paying for the healthcare cost need to mandate it. Once they mandate it, the population will adopt.
So are we therefore saying that we are subservient to the people, to the capitalists who want to make more money, rather than maybe looking at holistic well-being that we've been talking about since
No, it's the other way around, in the sense the payers actually would save money from this. So they're doing that, they're pushing it out in the US. But how do you push it out globally? It's a very complex question, I think.
Well, first I want to thank you Big thank you to the three of you for those insights. I hope that was helpful for the audience. And thank you for your time and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
A round of applause for our panelists, ladies and gentlemen. There's enough doctors in the room. Thank you once again, panelists.